I
Yeah.
know, right? Like like, and
So
that
that's
'cause it is
so good.
okay, you know? Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
totally.
Yes,
Totally.
yes, yes.
Nothing that's meant for you will slip you by. I'm, like, such a firm believer in that,
Yes.
like, you're not missing out on anything that you were meant to live, you are not missing out on anything that was, like, meant to bring you joy, you know? Um,
Right.
I it's funny that you were saying, like, the point about karma. Um, I use the app, Insight Timer for, like, meditation
Mhm.
and stuff, and
Okay.
there's, like, a
Insight
widget
timer?
on your phone. Insight Timer. Yes, it's
Okay.
completely free. Thousands and thousands of meditations. It's so good. On anything and everything you can think about. But you can put like a widget on your iPhone home screen that like gives you the quote of the day because they'll have
Mhm.
one every single day. So when you log into the app, it's like the first thing that pops up. But I have the widget, so I see it on my phone, like on my home screen. And the one of today was by Napoleon Hill. It says, "Life reflects your own thoughts back to you."
Life reflects your own thoughts back to you.
Which comes back to the
Wow.
point about subconscious beliefs and karma to
Right.
some extent, right? Is like if you inherently believe that you, even subconsciously, even if you haven't put your finger on this, that you're not worthy, that you're not good enough, that you don't deserve healthy love, that you don't deserve the good things that you won't get them. Or you will, lust after unhealthy love. You will lust after the things that you believe that you deserve until you choose to rewire that thought pattern.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And I feel like and I just had like a such a calming energy come over me, and
Mhm.
I feel like until you choose and I think and even, like, before you even choosing, just saying, like, "Okay, this is possible," being open to the fact, possibly,
Yeah.
that this is
Mhm.
possible. I can rewire this. I can change my thought process. I
Mhm.
can think positive thoughts. One thing recently, like, in the past week, I think I was driving back from Louisiana, and I
Mhm.
came up with this new thing, and I was just like, "Find your sentence." I think it's brilliant. So
Oh,
whenever
let's hear
find your s
it. Oh my
oh my
gosh.
god. So whenever you have a situation, something happens, um, find your angry sentence in that, and then find your sad sentence, then find your peace sentence and your happy s did I
Mhm.
already say happy? Yeah, find all those sentences,
Oh.
and then when you write and you can even write them out, make the don't I mean, don't write a paragraph, but, you know, a little sentence sentence about the
Totally.
situation that makes you angry, and then one that makes you happy, then one that gives you peace, one that makes you sad, and so forth. Um, one that supports respect, one that's shows compassion. Write those sentences down, and then when you write them down and you say, "I'm angry because" I don't know, whatever, and but I'm happy this situation because of this situation gives me peace because and now you can have, like, a little pa piece of paper, and you can, like,
Mm.
pick what you're choosing to invest in,
Oh.
what you're choosing to tap
Yes.
into, and so and that's I think it's another practice for choosing self because when you, like, go off the rim and just go off on someone or,
Mhm.
you storm out and you're driving home and everything, it's like, I don't think you're giving yourself the time to, like, be present or even, like,
Mhm.
give yourself that ability and control back. Like, a situation possibly just took control from you, and you take it back by saying, "Yep, and now I'm gonna choose how I respond to this. Now I'm gonna choose how to I address
Mhm.
this." Because I know
Mhm.
this is
Yeah.
something that was disorderly, this was something and languages because not everything, in my opinion, is traumatic. Sometimes it's
Mhm.
disorderly, sometimes it
Yeah.
brought you discomfort, and
Yes.
sometimes it was disrespectful, whatever, and,
Mhm.
um and so, because this was something that was disorderly for me, um, I'm gonna go over here for a second, and I'm going to
Mhm.
channel this, be one with myself, and I'm gonna
Mhm.
come back to you, and then I'll show you, but I'll be able to respond accordingly, appropriately, and so I think that is another practice. Find your sentence.
Oof.
And we can make it better, make it like change the word
Yeah.
sentence something else, but find that, yeah,
I I
that,
love that so much as a practice, by the way. You should sell that. People are literally getting it for free right now, but you should sell it.
right?
For real. But
Right?
I I think like one of the silver linings to what you just said there is kind of this other side of choosing yourself, right? And
Hmm.
which is also out of love. It's choosing yourself is also choosing to acknowledge when you either don't belong in a certain place or time, or you aren't in the headspace to meet someone halfway, right? Like what you just said,
Right.
I'm disoriented, so I'm gonna go over there and choose myself by understanding that I'm triggered right now, I'm angry, and therefore I might make a choice that I regret later or say something that I regret later. I'm gonna go over there, gather myself, and then I'll come back. That's also choosing yourself. And underneath that is also choosing the other person's sanity and well being by saying, I need to collect myself before I can meet you halfway.
Right.
It's always two sided when you choose yourself, is all I'm saying, people. It's not selfish. It's not
Right.
selfish.
It's not. And I'm putting myself first. Oh my, and dude, you wrap that up so beautifully. The show's over.
Thank Let me just put a bow on it and then we're good.
Right, right. That was just
Thank you.
awesome. Honestly, because it's not selfish. It is a
Hmm.
two-way street. It's loving, it's
Hmm.
caring. I had something I was gonna say and I totally forgot. Like that was just because it's so true. And okay, what I was gonna
Hmm.
say was that I'm gonna go over here because I am disoriented and be one
Hmm.
with myself and then come back and meet you halfway here. Because going back to positions, and this is how I guess I can connect positions to choosing yourself,
Hmm.
how I want to show up for you. I want to be
Hmm.
compassionate. I want to be respectful, understanding. I want to listen, fully listen with, like this. Hello, yes. And I
Yeah.
don't want to talk. I don't want to be on my phone. I want to be here
Yeah.
with you. So, however you choose to, be with that person, show up with that person. You make sure your actions are in alignment with that, and then you're good. And if you step out of alignment, okay, hold yourself accountable, regroup, try again. But when you're
Hmm.
conscious and you are aware and you're like, well, wait a minute, I'm gonna go over here for a second. I'm gonna come back. Again, you're still choosing them. You're still choosing them by choosing yourself because you're giving
Hmm.
yourself time so that you can put them first and honor them because you don't want them to be upset and you don't want them to be hurt and sad and storm off or anything like that. And so it again a two-way street. And because I feel like people say, well, the way I want to show up is I want to be disrespectful. Okay, you can be disrespectful, but you also have to understand what comes with that.
Mm.
That's going to come chaos. And when who?
Oof.
Okay, wait a minute. So when you have when you have a relationship with anything,
Hmm.
with the microphone, with the book, with anything, right? The camera. When you have a
Hmm.
relationship that is disrespectful, you have one that where you don't listen. You have a relationship that favors division and that favors chaos.
Oh.
That's what
Hmm.
that favors. When you think that, oh,
Hmm.
um I'm just giving him a taste of his own medicine, you're creating a hostile environment and your relationship no
Yep.
longer favors love and comprehension and cohesion and respect. It favors division, it favors hate, it favors the
Yes.
lack of, it does not favor the bond between one and another. And so that's something to also look into. So when I tell you or whoever what kind of person you want to be towards whatever that person or thing is, and make sure your actions are in alignment with that. And people say, well, I can be disrespectful. Again, you also have to accept what's going to come with that behavior. We talked about
Hmm.
karma and how that's going to make a full circle for you. But
Yeah.
also, we don't know how that's going to play out for you. Like when you're disrespectful, you can lose your job again. That could karma. Um, in worst cases, now times crime has just. Whew. So you just
Oh
want to
my
make
god.
sure
Yeah.
that we are just choosing love and choosing cohesion, bringing together.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
yeah, that's like one of my rules of like when I say for every action is an opposite and equal reaction, right? It's not my rule. It's
Mhm.
Newton's rule. Um,
I was gonna say.
we share it, right? No,
Yeah,
but
fair,
that's
fair.
one of my life rules that I wrote down, and I'm like,
Yes.
I have to make sure that I act accordingly. again, we fall
100%.
short, but act accordingly. And because I know that this is going to come around, and I want, when it does come around, I want to make sure it's positive, not negative. I can't afford the
Yes.
negativity, all good things. So yes,
Totally.
it is definitely not selfish. It's a two-way street. I love that.
Absolutely. And I think I love everything you said, and I think to your point about um a accepting the repercussions that will come with favoring a particular intention, right? Because I
Mhm.
think it's intention deep down is what actually creates the karmic response, right? Like you can say, um, outwardly, like I'm I'm trying to think of an example that is like if intentionally you are posting a okay, here's like one example. If you're posting
Yes.
a picture on your Instagram with like somebody that you just started dating. I feel like this keeps coming back to dating. I don't know how I keep ending back here, y'all, but it's like the most tangible thing.
It's a good example. It's so good.
It is a good example. Thank you.
Right.
Say you post a picture with like this new person that you started dating and your ex is still following you, right? And you haven't posted in months and all of a sudden you're like, I'm gonna post this picture with this person. And you're like, well, outwardly to like your mom and your new partner and your friends, you're like, I'm posting it because I want to like share this person. But in your
Mhm.
heart, you're like, no, I'm actually posting it because I want my ex to feel a certain way about it.
Right.
That's what's going to karmically come back to you,
Right. And it's
not
like,
what you tried to say to lie to yourself about what intention you had, right?
exactly.
It's always from the inside out. And so back kind of
Hmm.
full circle to what you were saying about a accepting the repercussions of a particular intention. It's I think it's also important to ask yourself like is if you want to be disrespectful, like that is how you want to treat a person or a situation, right? Is that actually what is true to you or what where are you acting from when you choose that? I don't
Right.
believe that anybody is inherently bad or inherently wired towards
Me
like
either.
hurting other people. I just don't think that it's in our blood. Like you said, I fully believe
Mhm.
community is like top tier human purpose, right?
Right.
Um where is that intention coming from if you truly believe that you want to be disrespectful? That is where you're like, no, my thought is my responsibility here is and therefore it is also my responsibility to get to the root of that thought before I choose to take action. Mhm.
That is just that is just perfect because it happens so quick and it happens
Mhm.
so simple too. Like
Yeah.
whenever you post the video and or the picture of you and your new partner, and just like poof, just like that, you've started this, and it's just
Mhm.
that simple. You just started this whole reaction now, and it's gonna has to come all the way back to you,
Mhm.
and whatever that energy was that you put forth, whatever your attention was, it's just that
Mhm.
simple. People, and I always ask myself in my head, what was their intention? What was their intention? Again, another life rule: always ask, know your intention, and always ask other people there. So, what's your intention here? Why did you say that?
Mhm.
What was that for? What was that reason? I had a lot of questions. My mom is like, "What's all these questions?" And I'm like, "I gotta know.
I
I have to
gotta
know these
know.
things.
Mhm.
I gotta know."
Exactly.
So, he's like, "I don't
Totally.
have
I
the
just wanna
answer."
know how the universe is gonna respond to you with this one, you know? Like, are they gonna send
Exactly.
a
I just
storm
want
or
to
is it
know,
gonna send a like a field of flowers, you know? Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And it's just
Exactly.
and I feel like if everyone, a lot of people would be like, "What's my intention here? Why am I doing this?" I ask myself that's almost like all the time. It just makes me again like choose myself. It makes me be one with myself. I feel like I'm my friend, when I'm
Mhm.
like, "What's your intention?" And actually, one time, I don't know where I was. It was recent though, but I corrected myself,
Mhm.
and I was like,
Mm.
"Now you didn't have to do that. You didn't have to say it like that.
Oh,
You didn't have
yeah.
to whatever." I forgot what it was, but I know it was to my friend. I may have been mean. May have
Mhm.
been. But, but I
We
was
all
like,
slip
"You
up.
didn't have to
We
do
all
that."
slip up.
Right.
Yeah.
Right,
Mhm.
right. And I love that because I was like, if people would just be so real and so brutally honest with themselves and
Mhm.
just reflect,
You're good.
they Yeah, I feel like people would just say that, what's my intention? I feel like they would just go about life a little bit different. They'll be like, I'm not gonna do
Mhm.
it anymore. I'm gonna do something else. You know? I think that's just beautiful to ask
Totally.
yourself that. What
Well,
was
and
that
it's
was?
it's it's also it's also the argument of like, am I like, what am I carrying right now that isn't mine? Like, am I choosing to be disrespectful
Right.
because I believe that this is how you respond to somebody who did you wrong or pissed you off or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
Or is that something that somebody else taught me is the way that you respond? Like, what is actually the thing that is true to me and how authentically I want to respond, or how I believe is the appropriate way of responding, right? It's always, and
Right.
it's never black and white, right? Like that example that I gave earlier about, are you posting because of this or are you posting because of that? The two can coexist, right? Like you can want to share again, I don't know if this was a great example, but you can want to share a picture with your new friend, your new partner,
Right.
while recognizing that like if your ex is following you, they're gonna see it and they're probably gonna get a little bit jealous, right? But it's like, when you press the post button, um when you seal the deal, like what is the final thought that crosses your mind? Like what is your heart feeling before you make that decision? I don't know if that was like the greatest example, because that
No,
that
that's good.
example
Yeah.
is not so black and white, but it's like, how are you taking ownership, yes, for the repercussions and ensuring that what you're doing is from a place of well intent,
Right. Right.
even if it will cause adverse reactions in somebody else. What reactions are not yours to carry because you chose yourself and because you chose to be honest with yourself. There we go. There it
And I
is.
definitely,
Yeah.
because I feel what I'm receiving from that is like when there's
Mhm.
a situation here, am I like stepping out and like I picture it as like there's like a ball, what am I saying? A ball, like a a
Mhm.
situation, and like you
Mhm.
just kind of like you just smear it off and then you organize like what's going on instead of you just like diving into what this chaotic thing looks like. It's just gumbled up with emotions and
Yeah.
things that was said and stuff, and you're just like
Yeah.
diving into it versus like being like, okay, this isn't me. This doesn't represent me. And I want to do
Mhm.
things that represents my core. Something else that I wrote down as well, like with your core, I want to do things that represent me, that
Mhm.
who I am, when
Totally.
you bring
Yeah.
forth, because, you know, I feel like growing up, whoever you grew up with, your guardian, your parents,
Mhm.
um, they influence you, and you
Absolutely.
bring them forward when you step out and you come as one. Maya Angelou said, "When you come as one, I come as one, but I stand as 10,000." Um,
Mm.
I stand as one. No, I come as one, stand as 10, yes. And
Mhm.
I think that's so true. And so I want to represent like all of that and the best positive, loving way I possibly can. And you can't do that if you're just diving into this big ball of emotions and things that was said to you out of hate. You're not going to do that. You're going to misrepresent,
Mhm.
and you're going to operate from a place of division, and that's one thing I'm like, is this what I'm about to do, does it promote love, and does it promote compassion,
Mm.
respect, and cohesion? Are we coming together in this situation, or am I supporting division? And I don't ever want to divide. Back in November,
Mhm.
I said
Mhm.
that I will start favoring connections instead of just
Mm. Mhm.
favoring interaction. I just don't want to interact with someone. I want to
Oh,
connect
I
with someone.
love that. Yes. Yeah.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes, and so I said that in November, and that's like, it's been a struggle, but that's like
Oh my gosh.
my
Yeah.
go-to is like favor connections, favor the connection, favor the connection. So instead of just cutting people off, I try to be like, okay, now what did you mean by that? What did you say?
What
No,
was your
you said this
intention?
right. Yeah,
Yes.
what's your intention?
Yes.
Okay, well, I
Totally.
forgive you. I guess. But I still have to hold you accountable, okay? So I can't talk to you for 14 days, but I still love you.
Yeah.
I'm still here with you. But
Totally.
and you can
Totally.
and it was the Gifts of Imperfections by Dr. Brene Brown, and in that
Oh, love
she
her.
talks about accountability,
Ah.
and
Ugh.
I'm like, Oh, that's so simple because accountability can be loving, and that's another thing of I'm sure choosing self. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
we can always tie it back to choosing self, right?
Uh,
So, but
Literally every single time.
accountability,
Every single time.
everything. You can pull it back to, you can always have accountability. You can always, it can always be loving. It doesn't have to be, we want justice and we want this and we want that.
Yeah.
No, hold them
No.
accountable, listen to what they said, but understand that now I can't go into this place with you anymore because
Mhm. Mhm.
it doesn't bring about good energy for me.
Yep.
It doesn't do well by me. It's not going to do well by you because I'm going to respond in a way that's not going to support love. And I might say something and then it might
Exactly.
be hostile, right? And so
Yeah.
again, I'm choosing you by choosing myself. Um, but I feel like people will misconstrue that. But those who know what I'm talking about and who are connected and understand will
If you
definitely
know,
get
you know.
that. You know. Definitely. That's also a thing. Like, you just know. You know when you know. And so that's also
Totally.
a thing. Yeah, like
Totally. You know what it takes to choose yourself when you've done it enough times,
right,
right?
right.
And you will see that
Doing
in
good.
other people when you've done it enough times within yourself to
Mhm.
understand their actions, right? Like
Right,
whether it's like a friend walking away from you, whether it's a partner walking away from you, whether it's like somebody parting ways with you in whatever capacity. It can extend to so many other examples. I don't know. Again, those are the only ones coming to mind right now. I don't know what's going on with me. But it's like you learn to understand the intentions, like one of the underlying intentions behind people's actions, if that is truly the place where they are coming from in choosing themselves and their well-being, if that is truly what they believe
mhm,
to be true to them, even if it hurts you, you can thank them for being honest with you, because in being dishonest with you and staying, or not telling you that your dress actually didn't look that good on you, versus
right,
them continuing and
right,
telling that it did, you can thank them for, like, I my friend said something, so it like hit me so hard. We were also talking about choosing yourself, and she said, like, if you lie to someone by, again, continuously telling them that the dress looked good on them when it didn't really, in your opinion, or you stay with them in a relationship or a friendship that you don't believe in anymore, when you lie to them, you are choosing to believe that they would prefer that you lie to them. But how do you know that they wouldn't prefer that you be honest with them, even if it was going to
right,
hurt them? By you lying to them, you're like choosing to believe that their comfort is dependent on your lies, when maybe you're setting them free by being honest with them. It's not in your right to assume that your
mm,
lie is bringing them peace when you might not be being honest, when you might not be being totally yourself. Anybody that loves you authentically would want you to be yourself, would want you to be honest with yourself and with them, therefore, right? So
right,
that's the other side of choosing yourself, is the second that you choose not to choose yourself by lying to yourself, by staying in a relationship or a place that doesn't serve you anymore, but you choose to stay there for whatever reason, because you believe that you need to stay, or because you're afraid of hurting somebody, you're also hurting somebody else by being inauthentic with yourself, whether it's by assuming that your lie is actually
right,
bringing them peace, or by assuming that they would want you to be dishonest with yourself and therefore with them. Because the second that you're dishonest with yourself, you're dishonest with everybody else,
right.
right? It comes back full circle every time.
It
Every time,
does.
y'all.
Every
Yeah.
time.
Hmm.
I'm still receiving this. Hold on one second.
I know, it was a lot. It was a lot.
Yeah. No, but good
When my
thing,
friend said that to me, also, I was also like, what? That's so
right?
true. That's so true.
Because when you're assuming that they would want you to be tell the lie because it would be comfortable and it would just you think it would make them feel better about wearing
Hmm.
it and everything. Me and my best friend,
Hmm.
I've always been the one. It's so funny though. It's a funny thing.
Yeah.
Now I know that I do it, but back then I didn't know I would do it, and
Okay.
I would be like,
We love self awareness. you know.
Right, right, and it's so hilarious. And he's like, "Don't
Yeah.
let Corey start talking and then wanna start using examples because he's gonna use you as an example, and then
Oh my gosh. Oh
he's gonna start
no.
saying." I know,
Oh my
right?
gosh.
And I'm like, when he's
It's
telling me
okay.
this, I'm like, "I do what? Like, what?" And he's like, "Yeah," you'll be like you'll be explaining something, and then you're like, "That's just not right." Now, what if I said, Mariana, that pink flask is ugly. If I start saying that, that would be rude, right? And my friend
Yeah.
Darcel, he's like, "Right." But it's so funny because he's like, "You couldn't use another example? Did you have to bring me into it?" I'm like, "I just
Yeah.
want you to understand where I'm coming from."
Oh
It's so
my
funny,
gosh. I
but
love that.
right? It's and
Mhm.
I'm like, I just be so passionate when I'm having those type of conversations,
I
and
love
I'm
that,
like,
as
"But
you
I need you to
should.
understand what I'm saying."
As you
So,
should.
right? And there's a way to be like, just recently, one of my friends, they wore something, and I wasn't too sure about it. So I was like,
Okay.
I like that, but tell me about this right here. Can you explain this one to me right there? Yeah, that one. Yeah, can you explain that?"
Oh,
And
yeah.
then they're like, "Yeah, I don't know. I just, something just tells me that,
You're, like, dancing around the truth, yeah. Oh my gosh,
right,
yeah.
that someone may not like it. Uh-oh." And
Totally.
then that
Oh my
that
gosh.
just makes me, like, feel better because, like, I said it in a way, definitely got it off my
Yeah, yeah,
chest,
yeah.
but I
Mhm.
brought humor into it, and now they're, like, less, on the edge, and then we talk about it, and I'm like, "But I love it. I love your confidence, and if you're gonna wear it, you wear it. What are you gonna do if someone does say something about that?" And then, they'll, like, say, "Who cares?" And I'm like, "Exactly, who cares? Okay, well, there you have
Yeah,
it." I'm
there
glad
you
I
have it.
said I'm glad I got that off my
I'll just
chest.
take my stuff and go, you know? No, 100%.
Right,
No,
because
when I tell you I literally got into an argument with my mom about something very similar recently, she will also, like, dance around the truth because she doesn't wanna be honest, but it's, like, it doesn't always come off nicely, so, like, we were going out a few weekends ago, and I had this white tote bag with me that
Mhm.
honestly, I hadn't up until that day because she said what she said. I hadn't up until that day, like, washed it, and it had some stains on it, but whatever, it's a tote bag, right? Like,
Right, right,
implicit in purchasing a tote bag is that you're gonna take it to picnics, it's gonna get dirty, okay?
right,
It's like the
right,
battle wounds of the tote bag, but anyways,
right.
I throw this tote bag on my shoulder, and we're, like, about to leave the house, and my mom's like, "Oh, honey, like, don't you have another bag that you think would go with that dress? Like, you have so many other bags." And I looked at her and just saw her gaze, like, looking at this, like, one freaking dirt stain on this bag. And I just looked at her and was like, "You know what, mom? If you wanna say that I should wash this bag, just say that instead, because it pisses me off when you just tiptoe around, like, the truth of what you're trying to say." And she was like,
Right.
"Well, I didn't wanna be mean," and I was like, "It feels worse to me with my mom or with anybody else when you dance around what you're actually trying to say, because again, it's the point of, by you dancing around your truth, you're implicitly assuming that I would rather you lie to me or be dishonest with me than just tell me to freaking wash the bag, you know?
Exactly.
And it's so much more frustrating that way. Like, why don't you think I can take the truth? Why don't you think I can, like, I'll hold myself after you tell me that my tote bag is dirty when I already knew it, by the way, but I still just take it out,
Yeah.
whatever. Like,
Ten
just don't assume that other people aren't strong enough to, like, hold themselves after you say something that might disappoint them. Again, it's not
Oh,
yours to carry.
right, right.
Mhm. Thank God
That
I
is
chose another example than that wasn't dating for once.
right, yeah.
That was so
No,
much better.
those are just so relatable, talking about, dating, they're just so relatable. Oh my goodness.
That's so true.
Um,
That's so
wow, that's funny though. I feel like I'm same with my mom, so, like, I analyze everything she's saying, and I'm like, "No, what do you mean by that? No, no, you said it. You
Mhm.
said it. You know what you oh, she doesn't know what you mean. Sure, you don't know now she doesn't know what she's talking about. You know what you said.
Yeah.
Go ahead and explain it.
Yeah.
Yeah." And they're like
Yeah.
"Oh, not everything has to be analyzed." I'm like, "No, no, no. We
What was
just
your
don't say
intention?
stuff." Exactly. "What's your
Yeah.
intention, mom? Hmm?"
Yeah,
And so
totally.
that's always a thing, and she tells me that all the time, like, you overanalyze everything, and I'm like, because I just know you. I know when you say,
Exactly.
that's a nice outfit, it actually means that you would prefer me pick another outfit. So,
Exactly.
but what I wanted to discuss, uh, as well, and
Mhm.
was what makes you happy, what works for you,
Mhm.
self healing and constructive boundaries. All of that, um, is all choosing self. Everything we've mentioned is putting yourself at the forefront so that you can put others
Yeah.
also at the forefront. So now we're talking about equality. We're all at the forefront. We're all on this one line. I'm putting you first by putting myself first, and you're putting me first by putting yourself first. And if it was that way, no one would go, I was going to say unfed, but no one would go
Mm.
unheard, unseen,
Mhm.
misunderstood. Everyone is
Yeah.
getting those things met, getting those requirements, those standards met, because
Mhm.
there's like a domino effect, putting you first 'cause I'm putting myself first, putting me first because you're putting yourself first, so forth, so on. And so, but
Totally.
with the constructive boundaries on my deployment, I feel like I had to dive into that and say, um, this is what's going to work for me. This is what's not going to work for me. People would be like, hey, you want to go somewhere? I can't. People want to talk to me on the phone. I can't. Or I would give them, a couple of minutes, and then I would say, well, I got to go. Things like that. Constructive boundaries that are effective boundaries, effective communication.
Mhm.
Not just concrete, harsh, hostile, aggressive boundaries,
Yeah.
but effective, things that are going to work. So,
Yes.
um,
Totally.
but yeah, and
Oh
so
my gosh.
that's also a thing that worked. I don't know what you wanted to say. Some
Oh my
touch on
god.
that.
Boundaries is like it's something I'm still working on so
Mhm.
deeply in my own life because I suck at setting boundaries. Um but
Yeah,
I think
me
you
too.
said everything that I wanted to say. Like it always the whole purpose of boundaries is because you recognize that in choosing yourself and your sanity and your well-being, you can then hold space for other people, right? Instead of pouring from an empty cup and stepping on your own toes by accepting calls when you don't actually want to be talking to anybody, you just want to sit with your own thoughts or go out because it's the status quo when your status quo is if I'm tired, I'm staying in bed. you know? So
Right.
I it's one of those things that requires and it's the point of, you know, in choosing self, you have to accept that you'll disappoint some people, right? Like if you choose to stay in on a Friday night when everybody else is going out, the people that truly love you will be like, okay,
And
like
that's okay.
their choice, and that's
There's
okay. But the people who don't
yeah,
see that because they, I don't know, don't agree with it or haven't done the work to see themselves and choose themselves enough to know what it
right.
feels like, and often how hard it is for somebody to be like, hey, like I do want to go out right now, but I know that the better thing for me to do tonight is to stay in, right?
Mm,
Those people who can see that will be like, okay, like it isn't just black and white, like they don't want to go, like they probably had some internal battle in making that decision,
exactly.
or it's what's best for them right now, and like I respect that. You don't have to understand it, but you can certainly respect it. Hmm.
Exactly. And I said this, in my in an interview that I did. I was like, not everyone, he's a trans man,
Hmm.
and I said, not everyone's gonna love and accept, and I'm okay with that. You don't have to love me. You don't
Hmm.
have to accept me or whatever.
Hmm.
But I definitely want to say that I require a level of respect that I would love to have. I would require to have, and if you can't do that, then I would have to retire the position or don't accept the
Exactly.
position at all. And so another thing as well on my deployment, there's people that was dealing with some mental health.
Hmm.
Um, I don't like the word issues, but I guess
Yeah.
mental issues, some disturbances, mental
Setbacks.
disturbances.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Love that.
setbacks.
Hmm.
And they were like, "Well, I don't know what my sergeant might say. I don't want the guys to think that I'm bailing on work or anything." And I'm like, bailing on work? You don't know what your sergeant's gonna say? And I'm
Hmm.
like, you're consciously, like, you're intentionally choosing to think about it from their point of view, think about what they're gonna
Hmm.
think about, and you're not even putting yourself first. I
Hmm.
I have a problem. I can go and talk to someone that is completely do not know who I am. I'll probably never see them again because they're behavioral health. They're not within my section.
Mhm.
And I say, nah, I'm gonna choose my sergeant. You're gonna choose your sergeant? Like,
Mm.
and not to make it seem like, oh, that's just crazy. Because a lot of people do that. A lot of people sit here
Totally.
and they're like, oh, I'm not gonna do this, and I'm not gonna choose myself because I'm choosing someone else. Well, then who's gonna choose you? Do you think
Mhm.
someone's gonna come here
Oof.
and while you're
Oh.
sleeping, just get a plunger and just plunge out all of the the mental disturbances and setbacks that you're having?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
You're gonna have to just solid and I put it in a way for him because, we're talking about macho military men, and I
Got
was like,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
I was like, when you go there, if you do go there, you're solidifying yourself. You're making yourself even more stronger now and
Yeah.
for when you go home. And then let's say you have another deployment, another mission, another assignment, you're going to be even more prepared for that than you were
Yeah.
for this deployment because you took the steps necessary to be open to the fact that this is possible, to acknowledge what was going on, and to organize all of this, to say, oh, I thought this was me. It actually wasn't me. It was my diet. Or I thought it was exercise. It was the lack of my nutrition. Or it
Mhm.
had something to do with my mom or my dad or my relationship that I was in. And
Mhm.
and now you're like, I have a clear understanding of what's happening right now because
Mhm.
I went for truth, for understanding and authenticity, not for comfortability, right? And so all these things are
Yes.
just starting to make
Oh.
sense now, and right, and it's nothing to do with I'm a weak person. You're solidifying yourself. You're making yourself stronger. You cannot you can be a good soldier and be mentally, but you will be an even more prepared soldier if
Mhm.
you were clear about what was going on.
Mhm.
So when someone was to bring up a topic that would normally be tough for you, you can say, "Oh yeah, this is what happened. I did that," blah, 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 blah. And they'd be like, oh, "Okay." You'd be like, "Yeah, okay." Anyway, and you just move on because you're clear, you get it, you
Mhm.
understand it, and you're just better prepared. And so I tried to make it seem he never went, but I tried to make it seem I
Uh,
tried to make it seem,
dang it.
that way. But
Yeah.
yeah, he was like, I'm not having it.
That's
So
but I think you like I can wrap that entire like story up with like what you like that one thing that you said that like again just like hit me so hard. The if you don't choose you, who will?
right.
You know? In any any aspect of life. I don't um I don't inherently believe in the saying like, you have to love yourself before you give your love to somebody else. I don't think that's
You
like
did a video on that.
I did. It was that same video that you reposted, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, let me
But
listen.
because I don't believe that. I think it's very easy to hold love for other people before we hold love for ourselves. However, what you absolutely do have to do before you give yourself to somebody else is like you can struggle. You can love somebody and get into a friendship or a relationship while still having things about yourself that you don't quite accept, right? But if you don't accept with yourself within the things that you don't like about yourself, like if you can accept yourself in the midst of saying there are parts of me that I could work on, that
Mhm.
is choosing yourself before you let somebody else choose you and therefore end up dictating how you feel, right? Because if you don't like if you don't love yourself enough to believe that you're worthy, if you don't love yourself enough to believe that you're worthy of somebody's time, attention, devotion, you like no matter who comes along, and most often it will be a reflection of exactly how you feel about yourself, right? So you'll get somebody who doesn't give you their time, attention, or devotion, right? Again,
Right.
life is mirroring your thoughts back to you, but also the other side of that, the more intense side of that is that it is only reinforcing your own beliefs to you, right? Until
Right.
you consciously choose to look at them and say, "Oh, are these mine to carry?" Because you can imagine like if
Yes.
somebody isn't giving their time and devotion and you actually like in like inherently believe that about yourself, those beliefs are going to become even more deeply ingrained, but also it's going to completely dictate how you feel versus you acknowledging like that's totally your responsibility just like your thoughts are.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes,
the
yes,
smile on
yes.
ever his face, yeah, I wish y'all could see. Oh my god.
It is just, oh my goodness.
Mhm.
That's and that's what and people say, you're gonna find someone. I forgot how they worded it. It's a reflection of you. And I'm like, what does that mean? What is that
Mhm.
supposed to mean? I'm like, what? And
You're like,
you
"Okay."
just made that. I'm like, okay. Anywho, like a reflection of me. What? I don't.
Mhm,
What?
yeah.
I don't pick who I like. I pick the
Moving on,
opposite.
yeah.
Hello.
Mhm, yeah.
But
Oh
that
my
makes
gosh.
if they're not giving you time, you think that's okay because you're not giving yourself time. If you don't value, if you don't hold your trauma in like this little cute little chest into your heart, no one else going to do the same thing,
Mm-mm.
right? And that
No.
just makes so much sense for me as you're saying it.
No.
And so it's like I do it. I do it for myself. And so when you don't do it, I'm going to know you don't do it. And then I'm going to be like, this isn't for me because I do this. And it's not going to be like I mean, for me, I don't think it's going to be a conscious thing. I think it's going to be like I don't know about this guy. I don't know about this girl.
Mhm.
I don't know about that. And you may figure it out later or
Totally.
whatever, but it's going to be like, something doesn't feel right about this. And they'd be like, your friend might be like, why? I don't know. Put my finger on it. I'm just not, I don't really mesh well with them. But that's
Totally.
gonna be it. Yeah.
It's because
Wow.
something in them and about them and their actions, their intentions are out of alignment with
Right.
your own intentions toward yourself and other people. I'm not saying that like you need to like match up with literally everybody that you meet, right? Cuz the beauty of like diversifying your friend groups and your relationships is that you learn from other people. However, is it so completely against what you believe is right or yeah, right and true and whatever that like are you staying because you think you need to stay or and because you think that like your subconscious belief is that that is how things should be, you feel unsettled because deep down you know it's not,
Right.
right? Mhm.
Right.
It's about like pulling apart. It's like getting through the soil to see what your true belief is amidst like what you've been taught to believe, if that makes
Right.
sense.
It
Mhm.
makes perfect sense.
Mhm. Oh, so complicated yet so easy at the same time.
It's so yeah, and there
So
you have
simple
it.
as yet so complicated, I should say.
Right?
Yeah.
This has been great.
Uh,
I love this.
this
I'm
has
so I'm
been
so
so
happy
good.
that you said yes to this. Yes.
Oh, I'm so happy you invited me on. This was awesome. Thank you for
I
having me.
was of course, I was so nervous. I was but no,
Oh,
this has been really good, and I think that we've touched a lot on like how to choose yourself. We talked about find your sentence, journaling. You've mentioned other practices as well. Before we mention
mhm.
those practices, I'll change the battery in my camera. But you
Mhm,
you mentioned though, yeah, we mentioned find your sentence, journaling. There's other
mhm,
practices. On your podcast you talk about things that you can do, all supporting and promoting choosing self. And I don't know, I think it's a beautiful thing.
mhm.
I call it the self-connecting journey. It's going to be ugly. You're going to cry, you're going
Ooh,
to
I
yell, you're
love
going to
it.
scream, you might call
Ugh.
your parents and be like, what? But it's going to be okay.
What did
It's
you
going to be okay,
do? Yeah,
what
totally.
you
The mess
but
you made. Now I gotta
the
clean up. No, it's
the mess you made. That is so funny.
Totally.
But yeah.
Totally.
But I thank you so much for being a part of it. Anything you wanted to share
Oh.
before we
Oh
go?
my gosh. We went so much further than I thought we were going to. I'm so
Right.
pleased and content with how this went. Thank you so much for having
Right.
me on.
Oh,
This was awesome. I
thank
can't wait for people to
you.
hear it.